Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. Along the march, stretch over, the one and their banners. 'Cause they're anti you. Unwashed.
Well, hello again, and welcome to episode 102 of There's Still Time, the AFTN podcast. I'm Michael McCall.
And I'm Steve Pander.
And we're in joyous mood because the Whitecaps are back in Vancouver after back-to-back road wins, back-to-back clean sheets, dramatic win against Orlando City.
Back-to-back dramatic wins.
Yeah. I think the win over Orlando, the Lion now sleeps tonight. And I don't know so much about a win away, but they certainly know how to win away.
That's 100% true. Two great wins, left it late. I'd like to keep the blood pressure a little bit low next time. Maybe they can win out earlier. But, two fantastic wins, and Rivera comes up big twice in both games.
Yeah, I mean, the win against Orlando, the scream I yelled out, you probably heard me in Surrey, I think, Steve. It was so loud.
No, I couldn't because I was screaming myself. I scared my kids who were downstairs, and they were wondering what the hell happened. Yeah, poor Predicta Pooch was just having a nice quiet nap on the couch beside me. Yeah. Not for long. Wife was in the kitchen. She's like, what the hell? But that was drama to the highest level. Didn't think it was going to happen. I would have taken a point. I would have been happy with 4 points from the two road games. But to come home now with 6 points, that's fantastic. And it just sets the season up tremendous now. Yeah. The big question everybody's talking about for that game itself is calling it a smash and grab. Now, I know the Whitecaps would have been satisfied with a point, but overall, the game, I thought Vancouver has had enough chances to even win it out in the first half. With Rivero's 2 chances, there was one other one, and they could have easily scored in that first half. And I don't consider it a total. I consider it a smash and grab considering how late the goal came, but I don't overall think that they didn't deserve the point.
No, totally agree. And I think the whole smash and grab thing just comes from the fact it was a 96th minute winner. But over the course of the game, for me, the Whitecaps had the better chances, and it was the same against Chicago.
There are people out there that say that Orlando were robbed of a win or a point or whatever they say.
That's just Adrian Heath.
Oh, that's true.
But that was the thing as well. The MLS brought out the power rankings, and Vancouver's gone up in that from 6th to 4th, I think it was. And in the comments about that, it said back-to-back road wins, although they didn't look very good in the process. And I disagree with that because they did exactly what they need to do.
That's what I'm talking about. That's the people I'm talking about that are saying that.
What are they expecting a road team to go out and dominate? Like, I don't care if they're on the back foot for 89 minutes and get a 90th minute winner. But this isn't how these 2 games didn't play out that way. The Whitecaps had the better chance against Chicago. They certainly had the better chances against Orlando. Folk are maybe a little bit clouded by the fact that Orlando, for the last 10 minutes of the match, really piled the pressure on.
And then Kyle Lauren missed that chance.
But that was Ousted's only save of the game that he had to make, really. And it's like they snuffed out Kaká, and Orlando basically had no other threats.
That's the other thing about people seeing one instant. They saw one instant of Kaká going around Laba and Kofi, and they consider that for the whole game. There are people out there that understand that only happened once.
And yes, Larin missed a sitter.
Yeah.
And it's not so much that he missed a sitter. Ousted came up with a fantastic save, and I think he deserves a lot of credit for both those wins because he wasn't called upon to do much. But when he came up big. And I actually had him as my man of the match against Chicago, but he wasn't even in the reckoning because everyone else just picked Rivero or one of the other attacking guys. But for me, the play of Ousted in those 2 games has been very undervalued, and I think he is the key as to why the Whitecaps came home with the 6 points.
Yeah, and overall, it's hard not to give it to Rivero considering he had those 2 chances before and then he scored the later one. One player, again, we're going to have to mention Pedro Morales. He set up the winner with the free kick. A lot of people said that it wasn't a very good free kick. It was just ideal that Rivero got to it. But
I disagree with that as well, though, because he
got it low to where only he could get it, right?
But when you watch the replay, Kendall decides to go up, and Robbo said after the game, Kendall had asked, should I go up, should I stay back? And Robbo's like, it's the last dying seconds, this could be the last kick of the game, just go up and we'll leave Diego back. So Kendall comes into the box late. You can see all the Orlando guys watching him because they know what an aerial threat he is. That leaves Rivero, that leaves Rivero free at the front. And that ball from Pedro was not a pure free kick. That was straight on his head. But even so, the work that Rivero had to do to make that a goal was phenomenal. I mean, for me, that's goal of the week material. The way he twisted his body, new nickname for him, the corkscrew.
Yeah. The question is, was he trying to get it on net or was he just trying to keep it alive and hopefully getting Watson on there?
That was an attempt to go. He knew exactly.
He's the type of player that would do. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But going back to Pedro and his play, he missed that one chance. That was the one that everybody was screaming about for the most of the game.
Yeah, another miss.
There's something about, is Pedro fighting it a little bit? Like, he had time to settle the ball down and take a good crack, but he just smacked it one time right off the pass. So is he like fighting it and trying too hard to get that goal?
I don't know. I mean, we asked Robbo last week whether he was a bit off his game, and as anyone that listened to the show, Robbo said it was a bit harsh to say that, and he was happy with how he had played against Chicago because he'd asked him to play a different role. Now, I accept all that, but when you get the chance in front of goal and you're a DP and you've got the skill that Morales has, and we've seen him bury these chances in training, for him not to do it in the game yet, is he rushing? Is he thinking too much about it now? Is it going to be a case that he just needs to get his first goal of the season and now he's going to relax a bit? So many questions. So that's some of our initial thoughts on the Orlando game. Let's hear a little bit now from Kyle Robinson at training on Tuesday, just with his thoughts of how he thought the game played out, some of the performances, and we'll also hear a bit from a couple of the players as well. Jordan Harvey, Steven Beitashour, Modou and David Ousted.
From a coaching standpoint, as a coach, what are you most proud of with those 2 road victories, the way that you guys managed to get out of there with 3 points each game as opposed to just coming home with 1 and being proud about that?
I think it showed the character that my group has got, and at times throughout the year I'm sure we'll get questioned on it, as most teams do at certain stages, but I was proud of every single one of them on Saturday because it was like trains, planes and automobiles getting there on Thursday, Friday. Everything that you could possibly imagine to go wrong did go wrong, and I said to them before the game, however you get there, we unfortunately got there a very hard way. It's about winning a game of football on Saturday, so go out there, there's no pressure on you, just go out and play your best and play with some fun and enjoyment, and they did that. And I thought we were tiring towards the end. I think the last 15 minutes was head in hand stuff, but we stuck together and we got a reward at the end. We've got a player who scores a goal, who's had cramp for the last 5 minutes, but he's got a desire to get on the end of a cross, and it doesn't happen overnight. It builds, and the character is building each week.
I'm glad you mentioned that because character comes in so many different forms. And yours came in obviously the late goals, but also the travel mishaps and whatnot. To have the character coming about the way that it is right now, to get these results where they are, Carl, I mean, you got to be smiling in one way and look at what it can do going forward.
Yeah, listen, I'm very happy. I'm delighted for the boys because they deserved it, and I didn't have to play on Saturday, but I felt terrible in the lead up to the game. What I won't do is I won't make excuses, and if we were on the wrong end of a result here today against a very good Orlando team, I must say that, very good, enjoyable to watch. Obviously for me they've got the best player in the league without a doubt by a country mile in Cascadia, and they deserve the reward they got. So if we would have been on the end of a different result, I wouldn't be blaming the travel excuses. I'm not one to make excuses. On the day, did you deserve to win or did you not deserve to win? And I think, maybe we got a little bit lucky at the end. I think chances were pretty even. They edged possession, but, clear-cut chances. I think we had the better ones in the first half. So it was our day.
You only lost 5 games last year on the road.
Yeah.
Undefeated in the 2 played so far. What's making the team so hard to beat now away from home?
We've slightly tactically adjusted 1 or 2 things. We focused on trying to get Pedro a little bit higher up the field and give him a license to roam a little bit. But it's you don't like losing any game, and we've just tried to be difficult to beat away from home. And if you've got the right mentality and you've got the right character guys in your team, then you've always got half a chance. And have we rode our luck at times? Yeah, without a doubt. But you're going to need to do that, and when you do that, you need obviously someone at the other end who can score a goal.
And the counter-attacking style of play that you like to play on the road, is that just made for Major League Soccer?
I think it is. I think you look at a number of teams in the league, and I think Adrian's comments about us before the game were that we're a dangerous team when they have the ball, and that's if you put yourself in the right places defensively, and you've got pace on the counter attack, then you're always going to be a counter attacking team that can hurt opponents. Not just in Major League Soccer, but all over the world. You look in the Premier League, and people talk about possession, and I want possession. And as we're continuing to build here, I want to be a team that dominates possession, dominates tackles, dominates crosses, dominates shots. But Arsenal do that every game. Unfortunately, they don't win every game. So it's about finding solutions to try and to the problems that you have with each opponent that you face of getting the best way to win a game.
The fact that you guys won 86th and then 96th minute, what is that a testament to? Is that fitness? Is that mentality? Because that's rare, back-to-back on the road like that.
It's definitely a little of everything. You can give, I think they'll take as much credit as possible to our training staff to keep us fit and on the field. Not many people cramped, and it was in a humid environment. And so you could take a little bit of that, a little resilience. I mean, the guys out there work so hard, man, and it's a mentally tough team. And despite defending for a large portion of it, giving up a lot of possession, we stuck to it and capitalized on our opportunities.
Steve, one of my colleagues said 2 years ago you probably would have lost those 2 games. Last year you might have tied them and been happy, and this year you've won them. Is that a testament to just mentality to stick with it as late as both those games were won?
Yeah, I think your colleague's right on right there. Smart guy. Yeah, it's just one of those things. Last year, like I said, I think we might have tied those. But this year, we kept pushing, 90 whatever minute, we score a goal and get 3 points. It's just, the guys in here, we said it before season started, we're excited for the season. We got a good group of guys. Robo did a great job bringing a lot of talent, a lot of depth, and you can see it now.
Players want to play games, Bob. Looking at how much of a nightmare travel they had to Orlando, is part of you thankful maybe you stayed back, or how do you see those rest weeks playing out this year? Is that something you'll embrace?
Well, I don't like rest, to be honest. But, when you also get to a certain age, you understand it. But I want to play every game. The coach knows that. But also he's smart enough to know that he have players enough also when 2 or 3 players are out, because our squad is strong. And Diego played a very wonderful game, him and Kendall together. And for me, it was nice to able to spend time with my family and with my newborn. So that I was very happy for. But still, as a professional, you like to play all games. But I can say that I'm very grateful that I didn't go.
Even with a crying infant all night long?
Even though, to be honest, they always, when you don't have one, they always say that your life changes. But it really does changes, and I'm embarrassed every minute of it, and I love it. But still, my job is to play football, and I love playing soccer. So I wish I could have gone to travel. I've gone to Disney World, but it will be another time.
What does it say about this club to pick up 6 points on the road the way that you did, especially so late when you could have settled for a point?
The mentality is never die mentality. I think we showed that the 2 away games here, that we'll play to the very end, and I think this shows that this team has matured and know that we have to play 94 or 96 minutes or how much it is, and we got that a little bit of luck these road trips and got the points away.
Now, we have to talk about the play of Octavio Rivero. 3 goals in 3 games. Could easily have been 6 or 8 goals in 3 games.
The way he's striking the ball right now.
And he's been so impressive. And we've talked about this in the last couple of podcasts as well. It's not just the fact that he's got those goals. It's his work rate off the ball. It's just his movement. It's everything about him just now is impressing.
He's getting noticed big time. I was watching ESPN FC, and they rarely ever show Whitecap highlights, but they were showing Whitecap highlights, and they were showing particularly Rivero. His 2 missed chances early on, and then the goal. So they're definitely noticing the chances he's creating and the goals he's scoring, even down south.
Now, I didn't have a look at the stats after Sunday's games, but after Saturday's games, Rivero was like leading the standings in so many things. Joint leader in goals with 3. Joint leader in shots on target, I think it was, with 8. And he was leading in shots on goal with 13. Now, that is just phenomenal. And you have to think as well, he hasn't actually settled into this league yet. He's still trying to find his feet. He's getting used to the travel. He's getting used to playing on turf pitches that he's never played in before. And you don't want to put too much pressure. You don't want to raise too much expectations. Because we saw it with Eric Cascadia. He started off on fire.
Yeah.
But how good is he going to be when he actually settles in and finds his feet here?
The thing is, it's going to be him settling, and also how he reacts to people seeing now how he plays, because coaches are going to adjust to how he plays and work around that as well. So there's going to be a double thing there. If he adjusts and keeps going at this pace, I honestly, and I hate doing this because I always hate when other people do this for players. I don't see him playing for the Whitecaps for long. I see him obviously going over to Europe, and that's obviously one of his goals.
Well, yeah, I mean, he said that when I spoke to him earlier in the season, that Robbo has said he's going to have brought him here to help him improve his game. And I think both parties are aware that if he's a top player, and he's on the radar actually for the Uruguayan national team.
Yeah.
He told me they'd been keeping an eye on him in Uruguay and in Chile.
Yeah.
And that he's still looking to have those hopes to kind of do that.
I don't think he played much in the under 20s and under the junior teams.
It's only like the last couple of years he seems to have shot back on the radar again. But the thing with his play is, teams will learn how he plays. Teams will then start to try and shut him down, and that's why it's important that the Whitecaps have the other guys stepping up. But I mean, he's shown in the last 2 games in particular some amazing bursts of speed that you don't expect from a striker. I can't remember who it was. He blitzed some guy on Saturday for the chance that Ricketts did the great save with. But he showed a great burst of speed to get away from it and bear it in goal. And that's something that we've not had from any of our strikers. We've had strikers that's like Hasley was good at bustling around and could put the ball in the net at first. We've had Matix and Hurtado who can put the ball in the net at time and have speed. But Octavio's got speed. He can put the ball in the net. He's basically got
intelligence.
Got everything going.
He's got
for
intelligence.
him.
That's he knows where to be and where to do. He knows how to hold up the ball, get people into the game and everything. So he is very. And you were mentioning it before. You want him as a striker, but he looks very dangerous on the wing, and he could he could be one of. He probably is one of the best wingers at this point. What he's displayed over the first 3 games.
So I mean, that's one we're going to have to keep an eye on, see how he does. Will he be closed down? Will we get a bit more attention? Will we get a bit more kicks? Slight worry I do have over him though is he's been picking up a couple of bookings. That's 2 in his first 3 games. It's easy to pick up bookings and get suspended in this league, and you don't want him out because it's like you can't see anyone coming in at the moment that's going to replace that.
That's the part of Hasley you don't want him to pick up habits from.
He seems to be settling in great in Vancouver, which is fantastic. And now he's going to experience his first Cascadian derby.
Yeah,
because
against the Timbers.
Yep, the Great and Washed are heading to town on Saturday. First Cascadian derby of the season. Whitecaps are going to be missing some players. Timbers are missing some players. Let's have a look at the Timbers to kick things off. Their midfield has been decimated. Yeah, they've started this season with 3 draws. They're still looking for their first win. 2 0-0 games in there as well, so they're struggling to put the ball in the back of the net. flip side of that, though, is you could say that they are defending well.
Yeah.
But you look at their pre-season results as well, and there's a lot of 0-0s and 1-0s. So they are struggling to put the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, I think that it comes all from the midfield. Starting, to start the season, they were missing. Even start the preseason, they were missing Will Johnson and Diego Valeri, and that's where a lot of their offense drives from.
And then Nanchoff got injured down in the Portland tournament, and Zimanski got injured.
Zimanski was the big one because they were expecting Zimanski to hold down, but now Diego Chara cannot move up as much. He has to be the one holding the midfield, and they've called on Jack Dewsbury to come back into the midfield. So it's not. There's a weakness between the back line and the guys up front.
But as weak as they are, they still have a lot of threats.
Yeah.
The only 2 goals...
Well, they have the threats up front. Up front, they're fine, but it's a matter of getting the ball to them.
Yeah. The only player that scored from this year has been Fernando Adi.
Yeah.
He got the 2 goals against LA in what was an absolutely fantastic match. But 2 goals in stoppage time, 1 for each side. And you kind of have to wonder if they hadn't let that late goal in by LA to just come away with a 2-2 draw at home, would they have pushed? Has that dented their confidence? Could they have pushed on it and got something better from Kansas City? The games against Salt Lake and Kansas City, though, they were kind of pretty dire affairs. You're not expecting that on Saturday because they always seem to raise their game when they play in Vancouver. But one of the guys that, of course, always helps them raise the game when they play Vancouver is Will Johnson, and they're missing that now. Yeah. And there's a lot of new players come in. Whitecaps are in form. This could be the Whitecaps' best chance to get a win against Portland at BC Place.
Yeah, even then, if you look at that preseason game they did play, there was a lot of tension going on for a preseason game.
Yeah, it's going to be fiery no matter what. And I mean, with the players which we have, they've already shown in the first 3 games they're not afraid to mix things up.
No,
maybe a little bit too much. And in fact, let's look at that now. Talking about the Whitecaps' desire or ability to mix things up. Few moments in Saturday's game against Orlando that might raise concerns going into this game. First one we have to look at, and we're recording this on Tuesday before the MLS disciplinary panel have met. Kekuta Mane, horrific 2-footed tackle on Aurelian Collin.
That one's definitely
there's no way. There's no way he is available.
It's at least one game, if not more, multiple games.
And the thing is, we've seen this from Mane before. He's the quietest guy off the pitch. But there seems to be like a switch that just flicks when he's on the pitch sometimes, and he just kind of loses control a little bit. He got in a fight with Omar Salgado pre-season last year, got sent off.
Yeah.
He's did that tackle on Collin. We've seen a couple of other ones where he's left himself in a little bit late. Pre-season against Chicago, he did a tackle on Sean Maloney. And then stood over Maloney in a kind of threatening manner. Was threatening as a guy his size can be.
And he had got a dust up against Portland too. He was the main qualifier.
Oh yes, at the end of the game. Although to be fair, that was a bad late tackle on him as well.
On him.
But he does have that, and teams are going to see that now, that he is easy to rile up and get under the skin. But there's no excuses. That was a horrific tackle. That's a leg breaker.
Yeah.
If he had made full contact with Collin, that would have been horrendous. And I think the only reason he stayed on was that Collin didn't go down, because he's a big guy.
Yeah.
And Collin knew it was a bad tackle, and he just wanted to go straight to the referee. But if Collin had sold it and gone down, that was a red card, I think.
Sure.
But it's definitely going to be a red card now in suspension.
Yeah, I don't see how they can. Now, the other one is, you were mentioning Diego Rodriguez.
Yep. Diego Rodriguez did a Vinnie Jones on Paul Gascoigne, except this time he did it on Aurelian Collin. Collin's in the thick of all the action. Possible grab of the junk. Let's just hope he was going for the jersey.
No, I think that one there's no way to prove intent on that one, and there was no injury at all.
Collin did go down like a sack of spuds, though.
Yeah, that one might not be a suspension, so I think he'll be safe from that. But overall, the Whitecaps will be missing. We should probably talk about how many players are going to be missing from this lineup.
Yeah, well, just before we get to that, I thought we might also be missing Gershon Kofi because he picked up that early booking.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And he had another couple of tackles, and then in injury time, when Jordan Harvey got the yellow card for time wasting, and then the ball comes to Gershon, he's doing head-ups and keepy-ups, and I'm like, he's going to get a second yellow for that. It was hilarious watching it back.
Yeah.
And of course the Whitecaps then scored from the extra time added on from doing that.
Yeah.
But that's a problem I have with Gershon. He's shown it a number of times before. He lacks a little bit of control, but to his credit, he did kind of settle down. and he didn't pick up the second yellow card, although there was a moment in the second half when Kaka ran past him, and all he could do was slightly barge into him because he couldn't do a tackle because he would have been off. But there are players missing, as you say. Russell Tybert's away with Canada.
And Christian Dean's away with America.
Yep.
Which was
Darren
surprising.
Mattix is away with Jamaica.
Yeah.
Sam Adekugbe is going to be out because of the rib injury he picked up.
But it's not that serious, it
No,
seems like.
he's actually running around. He's training today, doing light training.
Yeah.
So with suspensions and these guys away, this is the chance for the depth players to step up. And that's the thing, though. I'm not as worried as I would be in the past because the depth of the Whitecaps this year is massive.
Yeah, it's totally 100% on that. You got guys like Keon Sproles, who made his debut for the season, who came on and actually I thought was better than Mane. We didn't talk about Mane too much in the Orlando game, but I didn't think very much of his game.
No, he was definitely off. He was sweating buckets. Like there was a shot of him like midway through the first half.
And he's from Texas, essentially, like not born and raised, but raised there from like a younger age.
Oh yeah, and brought up in Gambia. It's like, but he was sweating buckets. Actually, a lot of the guys were.
Yeah.
I was kind of sweating buckets just watching it. That might explain why the cameraman wasn't zooming in and out too much. He was just so hot they didn't have the energy to zoom in. As I tweeted out, the filming of that game, it looked like it was being recorded either from Pluto or by Pluto. I wasn't really too sure. But yeah, a lot of decisions coming up for Kyle Robinson. You talked about Keans there. I think he's going to get the start against Portland in place of Mane. Even if Mane isn't suspended, I think Keans is going to get the start.
Yeah, and then we obviously were expecting Rivero to be in the middle. I think although Mosquito again didn't have too much of a good game, I think he'll probably stay on in there in the middle. Morales, holding midfielders stayed the same, and backline I think Harvey just steps in.
So for me, the big decision that Robbo has this weekend is, does he start Pamadou Ka or does he start Diego Rodriguez at the back beside Kendall Waston? Now for me, I thought Rodriguez was fantastic on Saturday, and I think Waston had his best game because he was playing beside Rodriguez and he didn't have to worry about Ka's slowness or cover for Ka's mistakes, and the pair of them showed an immediate understanding, which going forward is going to be great, and I think Rodriguez is going to be the man going forward. But do you bring Ka back in this Saturday? He's had rest, he's playing against his former team, he scored against them pre-season down in Portland. I mean, who would you go with? Would you go with Rodriguez, would you go with Ka?
My one concern about Ka would be, yes, he knows about Portland, but Portland knows about him, so they could exploit his weakness. I personally, and I've been saying this since the preseason, I prefer Diego Rodriguez better. He fits in better with Waston. Waston has a less... Waston can play his own game, and Rodriguez can play... They kind of... There's a yin and a yang with them, whereas with Ka, it's basically the same player. And so you're getting two of the same in there. So a yang and a yang, I guess.
It's kind of...
Nobody wants too many yangs.
You don't want a yang. Yeah.
I
think from watching training today on Tuesday, it's going to be really hard to tell what Robbo's going to do this week. Robbo's mentioned that he's facing like people being away. We've talked about that, probably suspensions, injuries and everything like that. He doesn't want to keep changing the team up. But Ka and Waston were playing back there in the scrimmage games today. Can't read too much into that.
Well, eventually, at one point, Kofi and Ka were playing at the back. Too.
Yeah, because Waston his boot seemed to tear or something. Yeah. I don't know. I would prefer it to be Rodriguez. I just have a hunch it's maybe going to be Ka.
Yeah, maybe go with emotion.
So that's our thoughts ahead of the Portland game. Let's hear a little bit of audio now from both coaches. So we'll hear first from Kyle Robinson, and then we'll hear a little bit from Portland coach Caleb Porter.
What are you expecting from a Portland team that's 3 draws to start the season?
It's going to be a very difficult game for us. You know, I think I read today or yesterday that we've only beaten them once in 11 attempts, and you know we're down to our bare bones. We've got a lot of players missing. We've got injuries. We've got suspensions. We've got international players. So it's going to be very difficult against a very, very good Portland team who've kept the group together as well. So we're under no illusions, but we'll be ready. We'll have smiles on our faces. We'll be young, as we always are, and we'll be giving it our best.
You mentioned suspension.
Oh, did I? I didn't mean to say that.
Okay, but have you heard anything about Kakuta from the...
No, so it was a great occasion on Saturday in Orlando.
Any concern, Carl, about supplementary discipline for Kakuta?
No. As I said, it was great to play in Orlando on Saturday. Listen, we're waiting. As soon as I know, I'll let you know. And it was I use interesting all the time. I won't use interesting today. I'll use a tackle which we don't like, and I don't like, and I've let the boy know. It's a tackle that if it's endangered the opponent, then there will be discipline, and I don't want that. I don't want any player to get hurt or nothing like that. And in the moment, it's difficult for players to control themselves. And if he gets banned, I'll take it. I'll take it on the chin and we move on. But I don't condone that.
But did you like Adrian's comments after he said, "Let the referees make the decision on the day. Don't second guess them after the fact"? And he would have been fine if he didn't get supplemental.
I think Adrian and me have got the same backgrounds. I think you look at it, and the referees have a hard enough job as it is. And I think what you do is when you start micro-managing every incident on a football field, then you start opening a can of worms. So it's out of my hands. We'll see. Hopefully they listen to Adrian and they listen to me. But it's nice that Adrian says that, because I said you don't want any players missing games or whatever, because you want supporters play the hard-earned money that they work for on a Monday to Friday basis to watch the best players. And if the best players are getting taken away from them from decisions, then it's difficult.
We saw Jack Jewsbury wasn't out there today. Can you fill us a little bit in?
Yeah, he took a ball in the head in the game and had concussion symptoms. So he's being evaluated for that. So whether or not he has a concussion or not, we're still sorting that out. But he could have a concussion, which would mean that he's got to go through the MLS return to play protocol on concussions, and would mean if he has one that it'll be tight for the game. Could be back for the game, but there's a chance he's not.
You're going into Vancouver. This is a place that you've obviously had success on the road before, have won games decisively. Does that give you guys extra confidence when you're looking for your first win?
Yeah, I think you have that in the back of your minds. It doesn't hurt. We have had success against Vancouver, but they're in form right now. They've got 6 points, and they're going to be full confidence. So I don't know that it plays a lot into the game, but it does give us confidence knowing that we've been able to get results there. But they're a good team, and it's gonna be a battle. You saw the preseason game; it was chippy, it was physical. I think that's a little bit their style this year. I think Nets, my media guy, was telling me that they lead the league in fouls and yellow cards. So they're a very physical team. So we're gonna have to be up for that and ready for that. And we experienced that a little bit at home, in the preseason game when Zemansky, went down with the ACL and a few other things. So it's going to be a battle for sure. We're rivals. We've had some good games against them, but this is a new year, and obviously we're going to have to play really well on the road because they're going to be hungry to get a result.
There's been a stat kind of out there that you have not won a game in March in MLS.
You love that one, don't you?
I know.
You love that. That's a media dream.
So I want to ask your opinion on it.
Dream, yeah.
I want to get, is that something that you feel like is overblown, where you kind of see it more in chunks in the season, or is it something that concerns you?
I don't even think about it, to be honest with you. Yeah, I just approach it the next game like always. If we were 3-0, I'd approach the next game the exact same way. I think you got to write about something, right? You got to tweet about something. That's your job. You got to ask questions about something. I understand if I'm you, I'm asking the same questions and I'm tweeting the same things. So I don't have Twitter. I don't read the blogs. I don't have Facebook. Okay. I just do my job. And right now, this group's in a good spot. We've played a tough schedule. We managed some things, but you look at our mentality, you look at our organization, you look at the positives, and I'm aware of the areas that we got to address. We had a good video today. We pointed all those things out like we do. Spent about 15 minutes going through things we're going to work on. I don't always share all those things with you, the things that we got to work on for good reason, because then the opponent would know it. And you don't need to know everything I know, but ultimately I understand you're gonna look for things to write about. So, is it overplayed? I don't know. All right, we're gonna win. So next game we're gonna make sure it's not a story anymore.
But that's it for this episode of the podcast. Just before we go, though, we'll just do our quick predictions for the weekend. How do you think it's going to go? Are the Whitecaps going to get their first home win against the Timbers?
I'm going to say I think they'll be able to take control of the midfield. That's going to be the key. They got to take advantage of all those injuries that the Timbers have there. And I'm going to say it's 2-1 Whitecaps win.
I think it's going to be a hard-fought and a close game. I'm going for a Whitecaps win. I'm going for another 1-0 because I think Portland are going to keep it tight at the back. As we discussed, I think they're going to have trouble putting the ball in the back of the net. And no matter who plays at the back for the Whitecaps, they're linking up well. I think it's going to be 3 clean sheets in a row for David Ousted. And I'm going to go with another goal for Octavio Rivero.
That would be a really great start to the season for him.
I'm actually going for Rivera to get a goal a game. He's going for
I don't
34.
think he's going to hit 34.
No, he's going to hit 34. Well, no, actually he won't, because he'll be suspended for a few games. But
he could get a brace here and there, too.
Yeah, he's going to be 20 plus for sure. But anyway, as I said, that's it for this episode. We hope to be back just before the weekend game with a special USL podcast, just with the USL team having their first game coming up on Sunday against Seattle. But until then, Steve, just let everyone know where they can find you online.
You can find me on Twitter at WhitecapsBeat.
And I'm Michael McCall. You can find me on Twitter at AFTN Canada. Read all our stuff, aftn.ca. And I'm also the Whitecaps beat reporter for MLSsoccer.com, so read all my stuff on there. So until next time, thanks for listening as always. Take care, and mon the Caps.
When you're listening on some far-flung corner of the globe to the World Service of a Saturday afternoon, crackly reception, interference, cosy, marvellous. Somehow comforting, isn't it? You know, legendary names, fathers and sons on the terraces, cheesy peas at half-time, pint for dad, mums at home making the tea. Everything's all right with the world, isn't it? Saturday afternoon is football.